Welcome. We are looking at table principle number 10. And as we look at this final principle, we are going to be having some discussion and ask some questions around why varying perspectives are important. So principle number 10 is this: value differences, they offer innovative perspectives. Why does that matter? Because you and I need to have additional lenses on challenges and problems that we look at to avoid unintended consequences. If you've ever said or thought, wow, that was out of left field, or I never thought of that, or I didn't see that coming, those are typically symptoms that we have not had additional lenses on a situation or a decision or a challenge that we were working through. You see, it's easier to gather people who have similar perspectives, preferences, passions, that maybe process things similar to ours, a way of processing things. But what happens is we leave ourselves vulnerable. There's gaps, there's blind spots that we end up having. When we invite people to gather and allow them to have differing opinions and lenses, what happens is we have innovation, but we also have disagreements. And that's okay. Healthy disagreeing is something that can allow a team to be a little bit like steel sharpening steel and can surface those solutions, those ideas that we might not have gotten otherwise. So let's think about what it could be like to create a table, a space where we could gather, not to always agree, but to start to put ideas and thoughts out and to be able to process them respectfully and with honor and with the intent of coming to a solution for the greater good of the organization. Now, I want to add a little thought to this. When we disagree, it doesn't mean that I'm unkind. It doesn't mean that I don't understand. Because we can disagree and still be kind to one another and respectful and still have understanding. It's a myth to think that we must agree in order to be kind, or we must agree in order to be understanding and compassionate. So as we gather and as we work through our different personalities and strengths, our different lenses, our life experiences, work experiences, we create a stronger, more resilient table to be able to look at that challenge and make a decision that is going to minimize the unintended consequences and elevate what we want to move towards. So here's some culture questions. 1, what perspective are you missing at your table? This does not mean that you add an additional amount of people to your table. But what it does mean is that you look at those that are at your table as resources. Because you and I sit at multiple tables in our communities and organizations. We can bring a variety of experiences, of life experience, work experience from the past, or from other teams or organizations that we have connections to. Let's leverage those resources and those insights and experiences to face the challenges that we're facing. Second, do I allow for disagreement? Do I allow people to disagree with me? Or when somebody disagrees, does it become my intent to try to push them towards agreeing with me? Because that changes the table. It doesn't allow for the variety or the variation in terms of lenses and ideas that are valuable to coming up with solutions. Another thought along that same line is, do I allow for others to have opinions? And if I allow for those opinions, do I honor those opinions, or do I come at it sideways, maybe even a later time, to say, but that was just your opinion? See, we may sabotage the table without even intending it because we want to avoid conflict or we want to avoid disagreement because we think that is either unkind or unproductive. And when it's left unchecked and when it's done without honoring and respect, and when we aren't integrating these other 9 principles with it, it can be destructive, but it can also be extremely helpful and healthy. Final question is this: Who do you need to seek out an opinion or viewpoint from to help you process through a current challenge? So is there a challenge that you're facing right now that you need to seek out somebody else's opinion or point of view to be able to help you avoid unintended consequences? This can be personally or this can be professionally. Remembering that we don't have to be knowers, we are learners. And by being learners, that means that we're going to lean into other people's knowledge and experience and wisdom. Because honestly, we're better together. So as we look at this principle that tells us, that speaks to the fact that differences can be valued because they offer innovative perspectives, think about how you are growing that on your teams, how you're protecting that on your teams and in your organizations, and how you're representing those differences and elevating and showing how those differences are of value and help you to minimize the pitfalls, but maximize moving towards what it is that you want to grow more of in your team, your organization, and even your life.